My guest is Dr. Jürgen Bludau, and we're going to grab a couple more phone calls here, and we'll incorporate your questions if you want to call. Great opportunity. We have a number of issues which we haven't covered, one of which is senior sexuality. It certainly slows down, I assume, but there are people out there who still can enjoy an active sex life. How late into their life, Dr. Bludau?
Well, I haven't asked my 104-year-old patient. She lives alone, so that may not be the appropriate question. But I don't think there's any age limit. There is, at least from a medical or geriatric point of view, there's no age limit to this. I think there's a lot of misconception. First of all, I think our society is not very good in dealing with this issue. Elderly people in nursing homes apparently don't have to have sex, and this is ridiculous. Older people have the same feelings as younger. Only because you're turning 80 or 90, suddenly sex is no longer of interest. And what may be a type of sex when you are younger may look very different when you're older.
So the trapezes are no longer used.
Right, fair enough. Still there is some intimacy, and it's frowned upon. I mean, you see two elderly people in nursing homes maybe holding hand or hugging, and immediately it's considered something not right, whereas it's perfectly okay on any movie or on any park bench when you see two young people doing it. So I think there's a lot of misconception that older people don't need and want sex, and that's wrong. And this book helps to stop this and help these people to tell them what they can do and what's normal.
Let me grab a quick phone call here. Let's go back up to Maine. Maine seems to be the font of phone calls for this hour. Hi, Dave. How are you tonight?
Hey, pretty good. How you doing, Dan?
Good. Say hi to Dr. Bludau.
Hello, Dr. Bludau.
Hello there. Thank you for calling in.
Oh, you're very welcome. This is great. What an opportunity. So, let's see, where to begin? How many jokes did you want about geriatrics?
Oh, we don't need any right now, Dave.
Okay.
We need legitimate questions that might actually have pertinence to other people who are not brave enough like you are to call in.
Okay. First, there's an excellent book that actually a patient gave me called Younger Next Year, written by a doc from New York and his 70-something-year-old patient, which really centers pretty much on how vital exercise is, and this separates the aging process, which you can't stop, from the decaying process, which you can work on. And they talk about, nutrition and social support and all that kind of stuff as well. But excellent book. Recommended to several other friends.
I know the book. Yes, it's very good.
Are you involved in geriatrics, Dave?
Some.
Some. Want to tell us how?
I'm a family doc, and
okay.
I have.
I thought that might have been. That's the case. Well, Dr. Dave, go right ahead.
Yeah. You're right. So I've got this 91-year-old guy whose A1C was 8.5, and he's already on glipizide, and I can talk to Doctor later about my.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead. We have no problem with this. This is fascinating to hear two doctors talk. Go ahead, Dave.
Okay. So he came in because he was dizzy. I stopped his blood pressure pill, and dizziness miraculously went away, which points to one of the problems with geriatrics is that a lot of times I think people get stuck on medication and nobody thinks that maybe they can get by without that medication.
Absolutely, you're quite right.
What about the issue, since I got two doctors, I'll ask you both the question. What about the issue of one medication which might help one problem actually might compound another problem?
Yeah.
Is that a reality?
Absolutely, and I'm sure you can talk about that as a family practitioner and, seeing many, many patients, and I'm sure a very good geriatrician too.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything from the osteoporosis pill causes esophagitis and heartburn. You've got one blood pressure pill will cause cold hands. Another one will make you lightheaded.
Right. And what about the poor elderly lady with her arthritis who can barely walk, and the cardiologist gives her an extra dose of Lasix because the heart failure is not quite under control, and she has some accidents, and and in one of these cases, rushing to the bathroom, she slips, falls, fractures her hip, and ends up in a nursing home. I'm sure you must have seen something like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so here's the point is, and I'm of course talking to you who knows a lot about this, is we treat elderly people differently. This patient has had heart failure, but we don't have to treat this patient the same way we would treat a 50-year-old. We treat them maybe a little less, like your patient with the hemoglobin A1C, which for our listeners is really a long-term measurement of blood sugar. And we treat them less. We don't follow the guidelines. This is not cookbook medicine, geriatric, or the care of an older person can't be cookbook medicine. It's patient-centered. And I'm sure you're very good about that.
Doctor, where do you practice up in Maine, if I could ask?
York.
Okay. And how difficult is it in Maine we hear about sometimes states like Vermont, Maine, and others where there are not as many doctors available as there might be in some of the larger metropolitan areas. Is it much of a challenge? Is it a challenge, I should say, to practice medicine in a state like Maine?
It depends where you are. Southern Maine, we're lucky because it's a little more affluent than the rest of the state. So, I mean, there are docs that can't make ends meet up there because 1/3 to half their population is on Medicaid, which pays half of what Medicare pays, which pays 2/3 of what a normal insurance pays.
Sure.
By the same token, I was talking with the wife of one of our ER docs who works in a congestive heart failure clinic in Boston. And she said there was a raffle at their hospital, and the prize was a primary care physician.
I love it.
Well, that is true too. Dave, thank you so much for calling. I really do appreciate it. Great to hear from you. Call again any night, okay? Whether it's on medical issues or otherwise.
I'll do that.
Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
I want to hit upon some of the topics in the book. You talk about honest partnerships, meaning as a patient, to be honest with your doctor, and whether you are the patient or maybe the younger family member, the child who is helping your mom and dad, get through this. Right. Honest partnership.
Well, we talked a little bit about medication, taking supplements. Tell your doctor what you are taking. Just, in other words, be honest about that. But honesty also, what I'm referring to is really talk about some problems you find maybe embarrassing. For example, incontinence. Today we had a patient, and I usually ask, do you have any problems with your bladder? And she said finally yes. And I said, why not earlier? We've seen you many times. Well, I was embarrassed, and I understand that, but don't be embarrassed, because there are things we can do. Not always a pill. It's not going to be 100%, but many more things we can do to improve your quality of life. A great example then is falls, or our falls. A person falls, and fortunately they don't injure themselves all the time. There's not the hip fracture after a fall, but one fall leads to the other. And each time the person falls, the more afraid, the fear of falling. So they cut back on their activity. They sit down more, they get weaker. They're at higher risk for falls, more falls,
so
more
what they
fear.
Think is the solution? The
solution is, tell us, I have a fall. Yeah. We can do something about it. Good physical therapy, using canes, using walkers, making the house fall-proof, or putting lighting in. There are many things we can do. Be honest. Tell your problems.
What's your favorite chapter in the book?
My favorite chapter is really the last chapter. The last chapter of sort of enjoy the passage of time, I call it. It's I may not sort of give the secrets of aging, but it's I think I've hit upon a nerve there.
All right. Dr. Jürgen Bludau. The book is Aging But Never Old: The Realities, Myths, and Misrepresentations of the Anti-Aging Movement. I recommend this book highly to anyone, either who has reached the age of 60 or who has a parent who has passed the age of 60. It is, I think, required reading. Thank you so much for coming in.
Well, thank you very much.